welcome everyone. Good afternoon. Very nice to see you on this lovely sunny day. Welcome to ODI and to this first of 6 meetings. They're going to be held over the coming months, linked to the theme of demand-side governance, social accountability, what works, what doesn't, and why. And these themes relate to some learning that is now taking place in the context of a significant number of programs, I think 38 in all, that have been funded via the Governance and Transparency Fund, which was a DFID fund established back in 2008. I'm looking at you, 2008, I think. Is that right, Roy?
Yeah.
And it's now coming into its sort of final year of implementation, and this is a good moment to start trying to draw out some of the lessons that have been accumulated over the period of these programs. And these programs are very interesting because they are putting money right into trying to support efforts to strengthen civil society and media engagement in a sort of accountability from the bottom up. And this is the first sort of launch meeting of a number of meetings that will look at those lessons. And today's meeting focuses on demand-side governance. Are we overstating the claims on social accountability? And that's what we're going to try and spend a bit of time talking about today. And we've got a great panel of speakers and discussants to help us do that. Let me first introduce, on my right, far right, Fletcher Tembo, who is a research fellow here in the RAPID programme in ODI. And Fletcher has been leading for us the programme of work that ODI has been engaged in under the umbrella of the GTF, the Mwananchi project, which has been essentially a sort of action research initiative to try and learn the lessons relating to demand-side governance, with a particular focus on experience in Malawi. And Fletcher will be talking through his take on some of those lessons, and we'll be raising some queries about whether or not we are indeed overstating the claims for social accountability as part of the bigger governance rubric. On my immediate right, Catherine Bain, who's cluster lead for demand-side governance in the Africa region in the World Bank, and who has been very heavily involved in putting together the design of a partnership for social accountability, which is a new knowledge partnership and financing facility for non-state actors, hosted by the World Bank and funded by the World Bank and others, they hope. Catherine has a lot of experience in this area of engaging with civil society and non-state actors in the accountability arena, and is going to share some of the experience from inside the World Bank, but also try to address this question of how do we measure results in this area. This is an area where I think we're all slightly scratching our heads, and there are other different points of view about how do you measure outcomes in the area of social accountability. So she can touch on a few of those things. And then on my left are 2 discussants. My immediate left, David Booth, who is the most senior research fellows here at ODI, and much more senior than I am, and who also is manager of the Africa Power Politics Programme, which is a research programme that's been working for the last 4 years, looking at very in-depth field-based programme, looking at kind of what works in different aspects of institutional development in Africa. And on his left, my far left, Roy Trivedi, who is head of the Civil Society Department in DFID, and also had a lot to do with the Governance Transparency Fund, so he'll be able to give us some insights there. Now, before we get going, I should say we have no fire drills planned, so if you hear a continuous bell, there is probably a fire somewhere in the building, so please leave by the way you came in and cluster out in the street in Westminster Bridge Road. We are also streaming online, so everything that takes place in this meeting is also being viewed by our virtual participants around the globe, and I particular welcome, I think, to staff from DFID Ghana and also Malawi, who I think are watching online, who have been active participants in much of this work. And I'm hoping that via the new iPad, I'll be receiving questions from them or comments as we go through the discussion. So with no further ado, let me pass over to Fletcher, who's going to set us off.